Even better than I was the last time, baby. Ooh, ooh, ooh,
Are we back?
I'm good. Ooh, yeah. I'm good. Better than I was the last time, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh.
We back and 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 we back.
What is up, YouTube? This is the Warren family and I'm back again with another video. So today I'm doing my story time of my labor and delivery. So this is my labor and delivery with my little son here, Josiah Theodore Warren. He just woke up. Excuse me. So he's kind of in a cranky mood. Right, Babas? Yeah. So my story time, I'm going to start off like right at the beginning. I was supposed to be induced because someone wasn't trying to come out, and they had scheduled me to do an induction. So I went in for that day, and when I went in, there was like a whole bunch of other pregnant ladies that were basically in active labor and ready to go. And because of the fact that I was in active labor, they sent me home. And I went home that day bawling because I was not trying to be pregnant anymore and I just wanted my baby. And I was just frustrated. You know, at the end of your pregnancy is no lie when they tell you how you're just fed up and you're counting down the days because it's just rough. And it was rough because like I could not sleep and I could still eat, but I just couldn't sleep because I was just super tired. Because I was super tired. That makes sense. Because I could not lay on my sides. I could not lay on my back. It was just uncomfortable, and that's what made me super tired, because I couldn't sleep. But yeah, they sent me home because there's too many ladies in active labor and they didn't want to put me in labor if I didn't have to be, right? Went home, I was crying. Next day, I went in and basically I had to wait for a little bit for them to get a room ready for me. So I was just basically just walking around the halls of the hospital and everything. And they got a room ready for me and they hooked me up to monitors to check on him. And they gave me this clicky thing, and basically every single time he moved I had to click on it. And then they gave me I don't remember what it was called, but they gave me something to basically soften my cervix to get me to start dilating. So after they gave that to me, they're like, it takes a minute. So, you know, there was a mall close by, so they told me go to the mall, walk around, you know, try and get labor going. So I went to the mall, and me and my husband were just walking around the mall, and then his mom came to meet us at the mall to walk around with us. And at this point I got like, I think it was 6 to 7 minutes apart, my contractions. So because when you normally go into labor, once you get to like, I think it's 3 to 5 minutes apart or something, you're supposed to start going to the hospital. And I didn't want to be like in panic going to the hospital, and I wanted to eat before I got there because I knew when I got to the hospital they were gonna tell me I can't eat because, you know, you might have to go into surgery or something. So I got food, went to the hospital, and then when I got there they had to get my room ready. So I was walking again around the hospital floors, and I was walking. At this point my mom and my little sister had came. So I was walking around with my mom and my mother-in-law. So we're walking around the hospital waiting for my room, and then I finally got a room, and as soon as I got in the room they broke my water. So I feel like this is when it went downhill, because I was dilating. They checked me, I was like 2.5 centimeters dilated or something. So I got in the room, they broke my water, and after they broke my water, oh, let me explain how it felt. So breaking your water, it literally felt like a balloon popping. That's the only way that I could really explain it. It just felt like a balloon popping. I didn't hear any popping. I think my mom said that she thought that she heard a pop or something, but that's just what it felt like to me. It just felt like a balloon popping. And after that, when they checked the amniotic fluid, it had stool in it. So because he pooped in the water, they had to keep him on the monitor to make sure that his heart rate was fine and everything, because complications can happen if they swallow their stool, right? So they kept him on the monitor, and because of this, I could not walk around anymore. And that really sucked because I felt like it just like slowed down the process of labor, like altogether. I just wanted to keep moving, because just sitting there, I felt like that just made the contractions even worse, so to speak. It was bad, but it wasn't too bad. Like, I could still handle them. Like, if you just breathe through them, you'll be okay. That's what I felt like for my contractions, right? So after that, also breaking my water, they also started me on Pitocin. And Pitocin is supposed to make your contractions stronger. And after putting me on that, like, they started me on a 3-drip. And that 3-drip was fine. Like, I could handle. I was breathing through, you know, I was doing what I had to do. But after a while, it just got, like, way too much. Like, way too much. And it was at the point where the pain was just intolerable. Like, even breathing through it wasn't working. Like, I felt like crap. And I basically had to get an epidural, because the pain, I couldn't handle it anymore, basically. So with the epidural, I was kind of nervous because of the fact that just like the thought of this big long needle going through your back, that, like, not even your back, but like your spine, that seems like so serious to me. And I'm just like, holy crap, like, if I move, I'll be like paralyzed. It was just scary. But my husband was with me, and he was basically just like coaching me through the whole thing, and he was doing like amazing. Like, I could not have gone through labor without my husband. He was my rock, basically, throughout that whole thing. And so yeah, they gave me the epidural, and after that, whoo, I felt so good. I felt so good. I was so exhausted, and the epidural, it helped me so I could at least sleep a little bit. And I slept and I slept, and then I woke up, and they had to basically check me to see if I was dilated, and I wasn't dilating. And then so basically they had to like keep coming every few hours to see if I dilate. And he's making me lose my train of thought. So they kept coming back to check if I was dilated, and I wasn't dilating the way I was supposed to be. But with the monitor, because I said he was hooked up to the monitor, right? So with that, they were just like, his heart rate dropped. And from that, I'm like, oh shoot, like, that just made me so scared, because obviously I didn't want anything to happen to him. And I'm just like, holy crap, like, is it like the stool in the fluid and everything? Excuse you. Is it the fluid and everything? Not the fluid, but the stool in the fluid. So then his heart rate basically dropped, and after that they put like it looked like a stick. That's all I could really explain that it looked like. It just looked like a stick. So they put that at the tip of his head, because his head was bearing down, obviously. So they put the stick. What's wrong? He's grumpy. They put the stick at the top of his head, and hold on, because my Bubba's is getting cranky. It would not be a labor and delivery story if I didn't have to stop and feed. So basically, where was I? They had to take a tiny monitor and put it at the top of his head. So it was like a stick, and it had like a little plunge at the plunge. I don't know what to call it. It was something that just stuck to the top. He's getting mad at me. He popped it out, but yet he wants to get mad at me. So basically, they had to take a little thing. It stuck to the top of his head, and it was to basically monitor him closer than the monitors that they put on the outside of my stomach, because those, they could like slip off easily or whatnot, and they wanted to make sure that all the readings that they got were accurate, right? So this was basically to check his his heart rate. So after putting that on, I think I fell back. No, at that point I could not sleep after they told me that. After his heart rate dropped and they had to put on the monitor, I'm just like, yeah, I can't sleep now. So then I was sitting there, I'm just like, okay, contraction, and now my contractions were just like slowing down. I don't know if it was just because it was maybe harder to feel because of the epidural. But yeah, after that, I was just waiting for some contractions, and they weren't coming. And then they came back, and they basically told me, this is when the doctor came, and she basically told me that, ow, Josiah, that was not nice. He just bit me. That was not nice. The doctor came, and she basically told me that I might have to do a C-section if its heart rate drops again. And after she told me that, I started crying, because I really did not want to do a C-section. Like, I really didn't want to. I just wanted to push him out naturally, because the recovery time on a C-section is ridiculous. I didn't want to go through a surgery, and I did not want any sort of scar. But you know what? After his heart rate dropped, that also made me concerned, because I wanted him to be okay. And I was telling my husband, that if I have to do a C-section, I just want to do it now, because I don't want his heart rate to drop and then I'm freaking out and they're just rushing me into a C-section, and I'm going into a C-section all like scared and frantic and everything. So I'm just like, let me just tell the doctor that I just want to do the C-section now, because I don't want anything to happen to him, and I just want to get it over with. I just want to do the C-section for him to be okay and for me to have a peace of mind, because you know it's scary. But my husband wasn't having it, because he didn't want me to go into surgery, and he was just like, you know what, let's just wait a little bit and see how things progress, see if you dilate. And then I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm going to give it like an extra hour or so. If I don't dilate, I want to do a C-section. So we waited for a bit, and then they upped my Pitocin more. At this point, the Pitocin, you know, I didn't mind if they upped it, because I couldn't really feel it with the epidural. So they upped it again, and I was basically dilating after that. They came back an hour later, and they're just like, hey, you're starting to dilate. They're like, what is it, 45 centimeters now or something like that. And then I'm like, okay, great, I'm getting there, you know. And then they came back another hour later, and they're just like, hey, you're fully dilated, you can push now. And I'm just like, what the heck? Like, that happened so fast. And my mom was freaking out, obviously. My mom was at the side, and she started praying. That is my mom for you.